from Dublin, Ireland. Hope you're having a good day. So, as Elena mentioned, my name is Colm Small. I'm the Senior Manager and Head of Student Recruitment and Admissions at UCD Smurfit Business School. So I'm going to take maybe the next 10 or so minutes to introduce the school to you and to discuss some of the key aspects to us, including careers, which are highly important, obviously, and also the academics and the programs. But before I do that, I just want to introduce myself very briefly. I've been working in this business school for the last 4.5 years. Before that, I've worked in many other roles and also internationally. So I'm very experienced actually in recruitment of students right across the world in many, many regions. So hopefully in the Q&A, I can also maybe give you some advice from my own experiences over many years dealing with students. As you know, Ireland is a small country, but actually reputationally we have many influences, which is bigger than the size of our 4.5 million population. And Dublin itself has a population of about 1.3 million. So it's not a big city, but it is an amazing place to do business and very much an international hub, and has headquarters for many of the world's top companies in terms of their European operations. So there's many opportunities in Dublin, and I'll touch on that in a couple of the slides as we progress through my short presentation. So maybe just to introduce the school, I'm going to bring you through just some key things when you look at a top business school. And these for me boil down to two things. It's actually ranking and also accreditation. So if you look at the Smurfit Business School, we have over the last 20 or so years been consistently ranked in the Financial Times, which is the #1 ranking of all business schools. There are many other rankings, but this one for me, when I've traveled to the US, Europe and Asia, this is the key one that people really look at. So our MBA, which is aimed at students maybe more at the late 20s, maybe 30 years of age with a lot of experience, it's number 70 and has been climbing the rankings. And we have two MSc programs that the Financial Times rank. There is the SEMS International Management Program, which I will discuss maybe in more detail. That's number 15 in the whole world, so really high ranking. And we also have our finance program, which is very internationally recognized, and that is now number 36 in the world. So that's a really good result. And we have other programs which the Financial Times are looking to rank as well. So we have many programs open to you, and I'll discuss those shortly. We're all about quality in the school, as you would expect. So we're not into big classes. Our average size class is about 40 to 50 students. And we're very international. So what we guarantee for students that come to Dublin is that they will be dealing with a lot of Irish students, so improving and perfecting their English. And the other half of our classes are made up of many countries. So we have 60 countries, so it's a global business school. And on average, if you say take, for example, just a good example with the Masters in Digital Marketing, you would have about 50 students sitting in the class, and you would have maybe 15 nationalities, so highly international. We get students from all over the world coming to the school here. So maybe just to touch then on accreditations. So rankings are one thing, and they change from year to year, but the key thing for me personally is accreditations. And there are the three best ones in the world, and the only really credible ones are the AACSB. So on those three icons, on the far left is the American one. The middle one, called Equus, is the European quality mark for the top schools, and AMBA is the British one. So we are one of 80 schools only in the world to have all three, and we've had them for about 20 years. And this is really a badge, and as you're looking at top schools, you should be looking out for these as well. So many obviously good schools in England would have these, and that's really important. And maybe just to mention the most recent ranking is from the Financial Times. It collates around December a combination of the individual programs, and it ranks actually the top overall business schools in Europe. And we came in at 24th last week, and we've climbed from 36th and climbed again last year and up to now. So we're making good strides, and we're up there with many of the really good schools you might, for example, look at in Britain and in France and other countries like that. So that's really important to us. Just other quality signs are some of the networks that we're interested and involved in, and GNAM is just one, and that's a global network of advanced management. And that program was founded by Yale Business School in the US a few years ago and asked us to join as the Irish participant as being the best school in Ireland. So we are working with Yale, IE Madrid and other partners in this network on the MBA and also on some MSc. So a really, really good indication of quality as well and the caliber of students we attract. So Dublin is a very cosmopolitan and vibrant city, and we have many international people working professionally here. That also reflects in our faculty. So about half our students are from outside Ireland, and also half of our professors and senior academics are also coming from many countries. So that's really important. And being a leading school, we're also research active, and many of our academics are also consulting in industry, and they're bringing that into the classroom, which is really important. And this is all about being a credible business school. It is not about theory, it's about practice. So I know these slides will be shared with you later, but it is important to us that the classroom is a place where people learn not just from books. So we use many ways of delivering real business cases and making things relevant in today's business, because it's changing so quickly. So to mention within those areas you can see on the screen, internships are also important. So in the summer term, we also have the possibility to do 8 to 10 week internships in some really good multinational companies. And some of the programs where they're open for are in finance and consultancy, etc. So we put a lot of emphasis also on people's soft skills. So we do a lot of team and group work, and also around that improving your presentation, communication and other skills. So it's not just a master's in, say, project management or in finance, the hard technical skills that those areas and disciplines require, but it's also building on your softer skills, because that's really as important as you progress into managerial in part of your career, and also climbing up the corporate ladder into becoming directors and senior business leaders when you get into your 30s and 40s. So that's really important in the school. And that's why we can do that, because we don't have large classes. We really put a lot of attention into the students that are in each of our master programs. So critical thing, and that leads on nicely into the careers. We have a huge network of alumni all over the world, and also being a top business school, we also run it like a business. So we have, as many companies would do, have advisory boards, and that's made up of very senior people in some companies. So, for example, the head of Google Europe, because Google is based in Ireland, that's their headquarters outside of America. The head of Google Europe is based in Dublin, and he is sitting on our advisory board, and also then bringing his advice to the dean and other senior faculty on how the school strategy is developed and how we actually develop as a school over time. So that's really important. We also have many links, as I mentioned, with industry. And one of those to mention is just in aviation finance. Ireland is the world's leader in aviation leasing. 14 of the world's 15 top leasing companies are actually based in Dublin and are actually mostly Irish companies. So there's historical reasons for that I won't go into today, but that industry approached us 3 years ago to design an MSc specifically in finance and aviation. And those young graduates, they want really smart people coming out of our masters to go into that business and to develop the companies. So that's a really important network for us, and that shows just how close we are to innovation and how we closely work with industry to meet their challenges and their needs for top graduates. So these are just a sample of some of the companies that are hiring very much from our program. They're just a small sample. But just to mention that we survey and track our students very closely when they finish the 1-year program. So all our masters are 1 year. And our statistics are within 3 to 5 months of finishing, 90+% of people have found employment. So that's a really good statistic and stacks up against our competitors. And this is very much an overall average for the school, but because it does depend on the individual and the companies. But as an average, the starting salary with our graduates would be about €32,000. But then I said some people are slightly below that, and others, depending on the industry, can be a good bit above that. But that's just an average for us. So that's just to give you some flavor of the corporate brands. We have very much invested over the years in a careers team. So we have about 6 people at the moment who are dealing with students one-on-one, but also with the classes. So we're scheduling recruitment fairs as early as October when the students start in September on bringing companies in. They recruit heavily from headhunt from our programs. We're also preparing students for interview, looking at LinkedIn profiles, developing techniques, making sure the CV and resume is professional. So there's many aspects to preparing you to give yourself the best opportunity to get those jobs in some of the good companies. And that's really important because at the end of the day, the proof really is in how the alumni are performing. And maybe after today, if some of you are interested further in the school, I'm happy to share with you more details on alumni and link you with maybe recent alumni and how they found getting jobs in Dublin or maybe London or maybe in America or other places. But really, it's really a key one for us, and we've invested heavily in it. And we use our alumni as well to network, and they very much are part of recruiting also the best students. So sticking on careers, which is really important, Dublin, just to give you a little bit more information on Dublin and Ireland. So last January, the Irish government brought in a very progressive step. It was a 2-year stay-back visa. So once you finish a master's in Ireland, any non-Irish student, non-EU student, is absolutely guaranteed 2 years to stay on. But look, many people get full-time job and they stay with Google or Bank of America or whatever, EY, Deloitte for many years. But it's a good guarantee to have. Dublin, as I mentioned, not the biggest city in the world. It's small, but actually it's a vibrant and very open for business and outward-looking city. 9 of the 10 top ICT companies in the world, tech companies, have their headquarters for Europe in Dublin. So it's a really big digital hub. Ireland, even though a small country, is a world leader in food business and very much high value added food. So there's many Irish companies that you may not have heard of, but they're actually got some brands that are right through the world. And they're particularly growing steadily in Asia, countries like China and India. So very important. And there's a lot of jobs coming on board in that industry. Pharmaceutical, very big in Ireland. Dublin is very much also a financial services hub. So many foreign banks are based in Dublin and have operations and support bigger operations in, say, New York and London. And also just generally, Dublin is a very big area for services and global services. So a lot of consulting companies have big operations here and recruit heavily from our MSc programs. So the Deloittes, the EYs, McKinseys, others like that. And I mentioned earlier as well, just on aviation leasing, is just an example of a very niche industry, but one where there's excellent opportunities for the graduates. And in that particular MSc, we have 100% placement in that industry. And just to mention lastly, Ireland is also quite a large player in terms of medical devices. So again, a high value business. A lot of US companies are based in Ireland and use us as a European base as well. So just going off the careers a little bit, just to mention the campus, the Smurfit School has about 1,400 students. It's our own little campus, 3 miles away from the main UCD campus. So our UCD is Ireland's largest and first ranked university. So you also, being a member of the business school here, have access to everything that UCD provides, including 100 sports clubs and societies, and amazing sports facilities as well. And these are just some pictures of the Black Rock, which is the business school. It's very historic, really, really first-class world facilities inside with libraries, etc. And then these two slides are just giving you a flavour of a range of MSCs that we offer. It's actually impossible to say which is hotter than the others. They're all in quite demand. But ones I particularly see in the last couple of years, things like business analytics is extremely popular. Finance, I mentioned aviation finance, but then food business is also good as well. But look, marketing, digital marketing, actually, when you look through them, the graduates, there's no one real over the other in terms of placement. But I just know personally, in terms of some regions in the world, analytics is a huge area and a growing area. Big data companies having to manage that and also informing their strategy and improving their business performance. So that's just one where we have this year 50 students from many, many countries studying that particular discipline. Then just to bring you on to the requirements for the programs, we require a bachelor level degree. So at UK Irish standard, it's what we call a second class honours grade 1, which would be a very high standard. Each program has on its website what the requirements are, but basically we don't necessarily require work experience after your bachelor degree, but some people have that, and that definitely helps. And when people apply to us, they don't necessarily have to have their IELTS or TOEFL already completed, but we do require 7 IELTS or a TOEFL of 100, so it's along with the top UK universities would be that standard. But we do have an average of 7.5 in the school, so many students within the first couple of weeks are already presenting to the 49 other students, for example, on case studies and projects. But key message as well today from me to you is that we have 20 MSc programs, but at least 6 or 8 of them are open very much to non-business undergrads. So for example, with finance and analytics and things like that, we would very much look at students from any discipline who maybe are from a science background or maths background, maybe engineering, who are very good at quantitative skills, and they bring a lot to the classroom and are more than welcome to join the classes in those programs. Management consultancy, strategic management and planning, very much open to non-business grads. And also we have a particular program called an MSc in Management, which is a 1-year program that introduces people to all elements of business. And that's actually designed specifically for people who do not hold a bachelor degree in business or finance. So there's many options for people with us in terms of a year master's. Nearly finished. Application process with us is actually very straightforward. You apply online, and it's an online form. You have to fill in a couple of essay questions that are short. If you're interested, you upload your degree if you've completed it with the transcript behind that, or if you're in your final year, your detailed results to date. We always look for a CV or resume, and if you have your IELTS or TOEFL, that's great, but actually we can still make a decision and make conditional offers if you want to sit your TOEFL or IELTS next spring or early summer. There's a €50 application fee to our school. And what we try to do in our team is once an application is complete, we try to give a decision in about 2 to 3 weeks. And that's sort of the average. And then really what we do is a rolling admission, and what we mean by this is that we make offers all the time. So if someone submits an application at the start of January, has everything completed, we then would make an offer, say the second or third week in January, and we give people then a couple of weeks to decide if they want to accept. And we just do that right through until August time. Some of the programs are hugely in demand and they close early, sometimes as early as May and June. So if you are looking to apply and really are interested after doing further research, my advice is to apply in the spring, no later than maybe February or March. And that's just a sort of a snapshot on the school, maybe careers, and we're happy to discuss now in the Q&A anything anyone wants to talk about in particular on what I went through. Okay, so Elena.
Yes.
So
I'm here. I'm back.
I'm happy then to open the floor to any questions and to go into any details on anything.
Okay, because we have also have questions in chat rooms. The first one was from Daria. So she wanted you to clarify on MCC. What does it mean? What kind of programs are they?
Yeah, so an MSc is a Master of Science, and it's basically a master's, a specialist master's. It could be in business, but it's also used in other disciplines in many universities around Europe and America and Asia. So it's a Master of Science in, say, digital marketing or project management or finance or HR or accounting. So the technical term is Master of Science, but it's basically a taught master's. And our master's programs are 12 months. They start in early September and they finish at the end of August time. And it's a term that's used heavily in England, America, and it's an international term.
Okay, thank you. So we have another question from Irina. You can actually read it as well, since she typed it in English.
Oh, so do you accept CAE? So the answer is yes. The most common form of English language that people use from different countries is IELTS or TOEFL. But in the school, we would look at Cambridge and other types of English qualifications that would be equivalent standard to. So the answer is yes, we can be flexible sometimes. And we absolutely require all students to have English language at that level before they come to us.
Okay.
I see a question. If the degree was completed already in English, so the answer to this question is actually very simple. If the degree, the bachelor degree, was fully completed in English language in a native English-speaking country, like, for example, Australia, Canada, US, England, yes, you do not need to do IELTS or TOEFL. But, for example, if you did your degree in English in Russia or in Holland or in Germany, no, we would still require the IELTS and the TOEFL requirements. Okay, what age is most common? The average age in the school is about 25 to 26, but that is a very, very big average because we have, between our 20 programs, we have about 1,000 MSc students. So the answer is yes, as someone aged 40 or in their 30s would fit in. It just really depends on what motivation the person has to come to the program. But we have some students who are straight from their undergrad who maybe are 21, 22. We have a mixture of people who may be 25, 26. They've worked maybe 1 or 2 years after their bachelor degree. And we have many, many students who are maybe aged 40, 30, 35, who have maybe done their degree quite some time ago, but have worked for quite a while, and they want to upskill and do a specialist master's at sort of a later stage in their career.
So probably 40 years old student will fit in.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So some of our master's programs as well would have some local students who are part-time, and they are doing working professionally with a full-time job, and they're coming to take 1 or 2 modules a week, and sometimes they are also maybe that age as well. So the answer is I wouldn't be overly concerned about that age. We're not ageist. We don't just purely have young students in the school. It's very much a mixed, diverse, balanced classes and many different types of people. The gender balance is about 50-50 between female and male. And as I mentioned in the presentation, we have 60 nationalities, so people coming from all parts of the world.
Thank you. And we have a question from Anastasia. What are the tuition fees for master degrees? Is there an opportunity to get a grant for duration of a program?
Yeah, very good question. So the tuition fees are listed on each page on the website, but in broad terms, nearly all our programs for the non-EU for the 1 year full-time is €18,700 for next academic year. And the finance programs are a little bit more expensive. They're 21,700. And the reasons they're a little bit more expensive is that generally the average starting salaries of the graduates is a bit more. So I mentioned in the presentation the average starting salary for the school graduates is about €32,000. But because banking tends to pay a little bit more, the starting salaries tend to be a bit higher. And if you look at any good schools in, say, Britain, for example, you tend to find that the finance programs are just a little bit more expensive than the other ones. But they're the fees, about 18,700 for most of the programs. We do offer scholarships for really good students, and on our website, one that maybe is most relevant to students from Russia is we have GMAT scholarships. So if you have a very good GMAT, we could look at, you can possibly get up to half of your tuition fees covered by the school here. We have a donor. But sometimes if we see very strong candidates, we look at maybe seeing if we can help in some way with the tuition. Partly.
Good. And there is another question. It's in Russian, and I'll translate it to you. So Dmitry, he is obtaining bachelor degree in biology field, and he's wondering if it's possible for him to enter the master degree in biotechnology and business.
I understand. So, yeah, you're right. That's one of the programs. There are 2 or 3 of the programs on our website that are actually managed by a different school in UCD from us, even though they're taking some business. And one of these is the biotech and business. So what I would suggest, if that student emails me directly, I can put them in contact with the person in charge of admissions for that particular program in UCD. But from the outset, it looks like they would be eligible for sure.
Seems like we don't have questions anymore. So guys, could you please type your questions, or should we let our speaker go for this moment?
I suppose one thing to mention, just while we're talking about the whole area of study, is when you're looking at further study, it really is a game changer when people do their masters in a different country. So, if you long-term want to go back to Russia, which is obviously what most people would do, it certainly is such a great story to give an employer if you actually jumped out of your comfort zone and did something in a different country. And certainly what I can say, and this goes obviously for other countries, but not only will you get the skills out of our school, but your English will improve to no end. You would really have perfect English pretty much by taking a full year in an English-speaking country to do a master's. And what I can say about our school is that, unlike other schools in, for example, Great Britain, is our classes are very balanced with many countries. So you tend not to find a dominant nationality, which is actually even better because that really forces you to mix. So we have students from Asia, Europe, America, and many other countries as well. And what I really want to emphasize to you is that what we do in the classes is also really work on your softer skills, apart from the modules, obviously, in the courses themselves, which are critical to, you becoming an expert in finance or in HR, for example, or marketing. But the faculty here do a lot of work with you on an individual basis.
Thank you, Colm. And can you please cover the question from Natalia?
Okay, so Natalia has asked about the MSc in Food, Nutrition and Health. So I'm not, that might be a master's that is actually in another part of UCD, I think. I'm not 100% sure, because to mention that UCD has 35 schools. We're Ireland's largest university with 33,000 students. So we have quite a big science faculty and engineering faculty and food and agriculture food and agriculture. So if that person wants to maybe come back to me directly with some very specific questions, I would hopefully get my colleague in the other part of UCD to come back to them.
Thank you. And Dasha is asking, is it possible to enter the school after school completion in Russia? So that is probably want to know about foundation courses that need to be completed.
Yeah, I understand. So that's maybe where you finished your high school in Russia. UCD attracts really high quality students from the secondary or high school, we call it secondary in Ireland. And there are foundation courses, and also you can go directly into bachelor level programs in UCD, in our university. So what I would suggest is have a good look at the UCD website, and there is a central admissions office, and they're very good at giving you guidance and information on all the different bachelor programs and foundation programs that are options sometimes for sort of the younger candidates who maybe are 18 or 19.
And there was a question from Anastasia. Are there any career fairs at the university being conducted?
Yeah, so the answer to that is on two levels there are careers fairs. So in the business school here at postgrad in this masters in Smurfit, we would have probably on average about 6 careers fairs through the year, and they're targeted at different types of students. So for example, already in end of September, early October, 1 month into the start of the programs, we have say the consulting companies coming in. Then we would have careers fairs looking at more financial services, and then tech. So there are many careers fairs and only open to the Smurfit students. And also then the wider UCD have careers fairs as well through the year. And they have a very big one at the end of September as well, up in the main university, because the university also has a careers office. So there's quite a lot going on in the career space in the university and in the business school.
Coleman, can you please type your email in the chat room?
Sure. So yeah, I'm happy at any time for someone to contact me, and if I can help in any way, answer your questions or find further information, or even if it's another part of the university, I'm happy to help in any way.
Okay, thank you, Colm, so much for your presentation and for giving a great time for us answering all the questions.
No problem, it's my pleasure. My pleasure.
Да, и, ребят, если у вас какие-то остались вопросы или интересует программа с поступлением, вот как у Дарьи был вопрос по поступлению после российской школы, где необходима программа Foundation, можем направить более подробную информацию, где Foundation проводится, что необходимо для поступления на Foundation. Я оставлю свою также электронную почту, поэтому можете свои вопросы также направлять мне. И, соответственно, остаемся с вами на связи. Thank you so much for your participants and have a great time. So hopefully see you soon on our next webinar.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And good luck with everybody.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Colm.